Today we are going to be talking about periods. Basically my experience of it with the people around me, in this case my mother and my sister. Before we get on to that, my name is Aditya Pradosh and you are watching Pradology, a channel with the thought of starting up conversations at home so that we can have a better future, because there are topics which we kind of avoid or don't talk about at homes, and I try to create videos surrounding those topics. So if you are interested in such videos related to relationships, family, psychology, spirituality, life, anything, do subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So, being brought up in a very conservative family, all I have heard from people around me was set for women to be this way, do this thing, don't go there, don't sit here, you know, uh, do not touch this, do not go there, sit this way, stand this way, everything surrounding what women should be doing. So since my exposure to that was very limited, I also thought when a person does something out of these rules, they were doing something wrong. So that was the exposure we had during those times. My whole experience around this was basically whenever Amma used to have her periods, we can have food from outside because Amma won't be entering the kitchen. So cooking area will be handled by outside food, and that was the only good thing about this. So also in those days, I don't know how it is right now, but in those days if you randomly you're going around wardrobe and you come across sanitary pads, it was this scene of Countmani going patata patata. So similar to that, it was that kind of a reaction, because everything around periods were all taboo. So growing up, once I got to know about periods, fortunately or unfortunately, you know from people, I just wished I had known about what women have to go through every month, and how much draining it is mentally and physically. And I just wished I had known it earlier, because I would have been able to be there for them in the way they needed us you know and I also wish that instead of making women feel like you should do this, you should do this, you should sit this way, you should stand this way, you should not touch this, you should not go there, instead we were more like, what do you need at this time for you to feel better during this few days of intense struggle. So after that, I made it a point to break the taboo at home and started having conversation about periods as a normal thing at my home, because it was a necessary step to take in, and I basically wanted to remove the newspaper around the sanitary pads, because it is not a point of shame, it is not something that has to be kept a secret. I understood that it is important for kids to know, to basically learn about periods and understand the need to see the women's world from their perspective on what they have to go through. People become better humans when they make the effort to understand each other by simply making them feel seen, and also doing what they can in the process. I mean, I sometimes feel like we forget that women and men are same species, and we always, joke around it, saying that we are all so different and it's very hard to understand each other's world. But I feel it's just a matter of trying to spend the time and try to understand from their perspective and just listen to get to know what they have to go through, because I strongly believe that there is a man in every woman and there is a woman in every man, unless and until we embrace that part of us, we can never become a complete human being, because everybody has to tap into their feminine or masculine energy for us to be able to understand the opposite gender. Now, coming on to the traditional or cultural aspects surrounding the rules of how women should be during their periods, I was talking about this with my mother as well. Uh, I said, we all worship the Devi or Ambal as we call her. Whenever we are in a crisis or whenever we want to get her blessings, or say if we are doing a ritual uh, towards the Devi, how do we know that she is not in her periods? How would people react to a prayer or to some ritual being done for her and she is in her periods? Because she is a woman, so she should have her periods, right? Now, will that thought of how you would approach the prayer or a ritual change if she had periods? If the answer is no, then why do we have such rules in place? If this was meant to be a, a rule for the women to take rest during this time, why have we drifted so far where we have made her move herself into a secluded place where she has to take care of herself? If we are in a crisis and if we are scared about something and the Devi is, in front of you and you are praying to her but she is on her periods, will you worship her or will you try to create the distance from her? So if it's basically designed for the beneficial of certain people just in the name of sanskar, then I don't think it's sanskar, it's ahankar. So kindly teach your kids about periods, about the human body, how it functions, what it goes through mentally, physically, and make them understand about emotions, because we all function surrounding the things that makes us human. This is important because I believe the world will become a better place only when the man takes time to understand the women's world and women tries to understand the man's world. And that can only happen when the intention is in the right place and the thought is just to make the lives easier for both men and women. I hope I made sense in this video. If you have any thoughts regarding this, kindly post it in the comment section. I would really appreciate any kind of conversation because I'm always open to hearing your thoughts on the same thing. So, thank you, and I will see you in the next one.